Today, we've got a guest back on the show that was first on the podcast years ago when she was just starting out. And now she's going to share how she's leveled up to her first ever six-figure month, as well as how she stays in $6,000 per month apartments for free. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's completely BS-free, unscripted and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And back for the, let me just count here, 1, 2, 3, fourth time on the podcast, we've got Shan Shan here from now in New York. Before, first time I think you were in San Francisco, and then you were in Miami. This one of the times I had you, and now you're living in New York.
That's right. Hey, Bradley, glad to be back.
Now, show us quick for those watching on YouTube, like your view right now out the window, just people can see how high up you are and like what kind of a cool place you're at. Because you showed me, you panned the camera over. You're like in a high rise or something, right?
Yeah, this is one of the tallest towers in New York. You see right here.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Peanuts. And my guess is this apartment's about $6,000, but I am living here for free.
That is crazy. So first of all, let's just talk about that really quick. How in the world can I stay in a $6,000 a month apartment in New York, skyscraper for free?
So 2 years ago, I really wanted to move to New York, but I didn't want to pay double rent because I was also in Miami. So a friend of mine suggested a startup called Kindred. It's livekindred.com. And the way it works is that for every night that I have someone stay at my Miami home, and this is invite only, so you can only, it's all people who are vetted, they check their LinkedIns, then I get a credit. And that one credit I can use anywhere in the world. So I put up my Miami home for people to stay in. Anyone, listening is welcome to stay there if you can get into the platform. And then I go to New York and I lived here for 5 months for free this year.
That is insane. All right. Well, okay. I learned something new. I never heard of that in my life. Just when you think we've tapped out with a number of different apps and services that there could be, I learned about something new that somebody much more creative than me thought up. That's pretty cool. Now, it was funny. I reached out because I follow you on LinkedIn or somewhere, and I saw you had just hit a milestone. But now, real quick, for people who maybe are listening to Shan Shan for the first time, if you want to get a little bit more of her backstory, get a pen out. Let me give you her episode she's been on so you can learn all about her journey. First time she was on the podcast was in 2021 on episode 234. And then she came back and was in episode 344. And then she was in episode 462 as well. And so now, anyway, so as I was saying, I saw you had put a message up. Maybe it was on your Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm not sure, where you had hit your first six-figure, not year, but month with your Millennials in Motion brand. Did I get that right?
Yes. This October, I hit 100K. Awesome.
Now, you've come a long ways from that first episode where your main product was face masks, like during COVID. Like right now, you're not doing any face masks anymore, right?
There's still a little bit of inventory, but no, I don't launch any more face masks.
So what is your main, what is the great majority of your revenue, what category now?
The vast majority is sexy tights.
How did you choose that? Like as like somebody in the what's it called when it's like there's an acronym for like face mask, is it PDP or something like that, or like protective gear or things like that, might venture into something adjacent, but to go from that into tights, how did that come about?
So what happened during the pandemic was that in China, every factory that could make face masks would make face masks. So let's say you were making diapers, suddenly you switched to making face masks because the demand for face masks was global. It was insane, right? But then in 2021, when face mask demand died, all those factories went back to what they were originally producing. And because I was selling cloth face masks, a lot of them went back to clothing, which is what they were selling before. So I had a lot of contacts in clothing. And I, personally love, sexy socks, tights, things like that. So I thought, hey, why not? Let's try it. I need to diversify. And I tried a bunch of things. Some of them failed, like dresses and lingerie, but socks and tights succeeded. And since then, I've just kind of doubled down that category and I just kept growing it. And since I last talked to you, Brad, I've now expanded into belts, arm warmers, but I also had a failure as well. I tried to expand into a non-clothing product. It was a pickleball pillow.
Pickleball pillow.
Yes.
What even is that?
So I had this silly idea. I thought, you know what? Pickleball is so big right now. Why don't I just make this like plush pillow that looks like a pickleball?
Oh, okay. I was like, how would you use a pillow? While I was thinking of like something you use while you're playing pickleball. I couldn't quite picture, but now that makes sense. Okay.
So it was just an idea I came up with. It turned out to be a terrible idea, and it did not sell on Amazon, and it failed. But thankfully, my other categories of products kept succeeding. So my sales still kept going up, but valuable lesson learned.
Now, I remember before, and I don't remember which of those episodes I mentioned, one of your ways to vet product ideas was how you would launch them first on Etsy. And so is that still what you're doing to like know that, hey, this product is going to be a success or not, or it's worth trying on Amazon? Are you still vetting your ideas through Etsy, or you have other ways to kind of like, not, nobody can guarantee success on Amazon, but to kind of like better your chances at success?
Yeah, funny you should ask, because Etsy is still what I use as a great way to vet clothing. But the reason why, I think the number one reason why I think the pickleball plush failed was because you can't really use the Etsy strategy that I shared with you on a standalone product that hasn't even been invented yet, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't really work. So instead, I actually should have, and I learned this after the fact, use a platform called PickFu. It's a platform now that I use for both clothing, and non-clothing products to vet, because the strategy I taught is amazing when you're trying to figure out if your product is a top 20% winner or an 80% loser. But it doesn't help you when you have a new idea, a new entrant, and it's a standalone. Because with, let's say, tights and socks, you would put 10 products and then 2 would get the most votes, and then you knew that would be the ones that succeeded, right? But if you have one pickleball pillow, that doesn't really work. You can launch it on Etsy and it'll give you random stats and it might be helpful, but what are you comparing it against?
Yeah.
Right? So you don't know if it's top 20% or bottom. So what I should have done is I should have posted my product, the pickleball pillow, on PickFu. And just to share, PickFu is a platform where you can have people all across America basically reply to polls about your product and what they like, what they didn't like, and they give really detailed descriptions.
And we have that inside of Helium 10. It's from PickFu. We don't call it PickFu inside of Helium 10, but it literally is PickFu, and it's called Helium 10 Audience. For those who have Helium 10, it's the same price as if you were just to go to PickFu, and you guys are able to use that. But this is absolutely a great. Sometimes I think people think of PickFu or Helium 10 Audience as, oh, I'm just going to test my, which main image is going to be best for my listing, which is a very valid, like a very valid way of using it. But please continue on this, because I think it's important that people understand there's more use to using these kind of services than just, split testing your images.
Exactly. And I was predominantly using it for product research. So what I should have done is I should have put like a picture of my pickleball pillow against other similar-ish types of products, maybe like a soccer pillow or other pickleball accessories that people would buy. And then ask questions like, hey, if you were buying a pickleball gift for a pickleball lover, which one would you buy? Or, if you wanted to get a plush toy, which one would you get? And try to see if I could get 20% of the votes to go into my product. I didn't do that, so I failed and lost a lot of money.
20 or 80?
Usually everything that I found on Amazon follows the 20-80 rule, which is the top 20% will do 80% of the sales.
Talk about the scenario though. Like, how many options are you putting, and then you're only looking for 20% of the votes to pick yours, or expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so you just want to hit that like approximately 20%. So if I was doing tights, I would put 10 tights as an option.
Oh, wow, okay.
That got the most votes would be probably the best sellers.
Yeah.
If I was launching a new product like the pickleball pillow, then I would have put like 10 different pickleball gifts options, right? And be like, if you were buying it for a pickleball fan, which one would you buy? And if 2, 3 of these products got most of the votes, then I would know.
Okay, that makes sense. Because at first I was thinking like when I do images, I'm usually only doing 3. I'm like, well, why would I only want 20%? That would be like the ones that loses. But now it makes sense. You're talking about putting 10 out there and then seeing what most, at least 20. If there's a couple of products that get that portion of the vote, so that makes all the sense in the world. Not sure on what main image you should choose from, or maybe you don't know whether buyers would be interested in your product at a certain price point. Perhaps you want feedback on your new brand or company logo. Get instant and detailed market feedback from actual Amazon Prime members by using Helium 10 Audience. Just enter in your poll or questions, and within a short period of time, 50 to 100 or even more Amazon buyers will give you detailed feedback on what resonates with them the most. For more information, go to h10.me/audience. So what's an example of something that you have used this positive or negative, as far as on the you said you didn't use it on the pillow, but where you have like, oh wow, I was so sure that this product was going to be good, but nobody voted for it, or man, this one that I didn't think was that even great, everybody voted for it and it became successful?
Yeah, so I still use my Etsy technique, and it's still very, very effective. But now I just add on the PickFu for my clothing products. So when I launch now, I always launch about like 10 at a time, and I will run a bunch of polls on PickFu and try to see if I can narrow down if people would pick my product over the competitor, or which of my 10 they would pick. And the results are pretty consistent with the sales on Amazon.
Cool.
So it's definitely helped me make a lot of decisions, because the more data you can get, the better.
Yeah.
And so now Etsy plus PickFu is basically my primary way to do product research.
I'm looking at one of your top sellers now. Let me show it to the audience, those who are watching on YouTube. Looks like this particular one here, you've sold to 2,000 different customers. So you're selling, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of this product. How long has this been one of your top sellers? Because it only has like 261 reviews. So it seems like maybe it's one of even your newer products, and it's already just like crushing it out there, it seems.
That one, I've got to thank Taylor Swift. So Taylor wore those snake tights, not the specific one that's mine, but just something similar, during her Reputation tour.
Okay.
And then her Eras tour has been so big this year and last year. Yeah. And everyone that wants to dress up as Taylor, they would often get these snake tights. And then it just becomes like a snowball, because you go to high school, you see your friends wearing it. So then you decide to get snake tights. And then it just kind of becomes a very popular style. So how
are people finding it? Like, I'm sure you didn't put like Taylor Swift in your listing, because that would have probably shut you down. But were you able to just get because you had the word snake and tights in your listing, that's how people were finding it, just typing in snake tights, or were they actually typing in Taylor Swift tights, or what?
Yeah, it was really just optimizing for the word snake tights. Some people would Google Taylor Swift, but then snake tights was enough. Yeah. And if you have a good product and you look like a legit brand, and I've been doing tights for about a couple of years now. I eventually got Amazon's Choice tag on that snake tights. So for a long time, if you were to Google snake tights, I would be Amazon's Choice. So I got lots of sales from that. So thank you, Taylor.
Are you leveraging TikTok Shop at all? Because I would think TikTok Shop is obviously big for like influencer type things and making things go viral. Do you have a presence on there, or just in TikTok in general?
I really wish I could say yes. I was just at this happy hour for founders called the $1 Million Seller Club in New York, and everyone was talking about it. But I have not gotten on it yet. One, just because, I don't know what to do. I need to do more research on it. And two, a lot of people are saying that if your product is under $20 to $30, it may not be worth it to go on TikTok shops. My product is like 10 to 15. So yeah. I need to dig more. I would love to be on it, especially if it works. It
actually helps, Amazon sales a lot of times too. Like, there's still a lot of people who view TikTok and they do it for trends, but then they don't really trust TikTok too much to buy from. So maybe they'll go to a link, but instead of buying on TikTok Shop, they're like, let me see if this brand is on Amazon, because I trust Amazon. But yeah, like I think it is, the most successful ones might be the ones that are that have a higher price point, because it's influencer driven, and then the influencers are looking to promote products that they can get a better commission on, because 10% of $30 is obviously better than 10% of $10, but who knows, maybe it can take off, and that could be another revenue stream for you. So other than Etsy and Amazon USA, are you on any other Amazon marketplaces or anything else like Walmart, or these are just the two main places that you're focusing on?
Amazon's bulk of my sales at the moment, but I'm also on Amazon Canada, Amazon UK, and Walmart.
How are those going for you?
They are not doing the greatest, just because I feel like I focus so much of my time on Amazon.
As you should.
That's where all the sales are. So, so that's it's just a lack of focus on my part. Second for me would be Etsy, because I do all my product research on Etsy, so I still have a very active Etsy presence. But I guess next year, hopefully I can come back, Brad, and talk about, did TikTok Shop work for me, and did I increase my revenue in any other channel but Amazon?
Now, one thing I was going to say I remember. I didn't remember until I saw it in the notes here that Mel gave me. But then I did remember you were somehow like featured like right alongside like Louis Vuitton and Chanel, like in some fashion shoot. Like, did that have any long-term effects? Like I'm sure it got you some notoriety, or hey, it was just kind of like a cool thing to do, or is this something that you think people should, hey, like try and get featured on these kind of things, because it can get good notoriety for your brand? What would you say about that?
I think success breeds success. And that's part of the reason why, if I hit a milestone, I do publish it on social media, because, good things just pop up. And Bradley, you're one of them, when you popped up when you saw my CNBC video.
Yep.
And the fashion editor of New York Times found one of my tights and really liked it and asked me to ship it to Ghana, where they were doing this like photo shoot. And, it worked out. It was a great feature. And that month I had amazing sales on my Shopify website. Like every day there were sales. I sold out of that style of tights, but unfortunately that only lasted about a month, because it is a timely article. People stop reading it after a while. But it was also natural. I personally struggled with influencers where it's not natural, like they don't actually use the product, it looks like an ad. Whereas, an authority figure like the New York Times putting your product on their models, that looks very legit.
Yeah.
So I would definitely do it again if it was something legitimate like that.
Yeah.
And those are hard to get into. I just got lucky.
Yeah.
But I would love to do more of that.
Talk a little bit about the challenges you face with having a lower price point product on Amazon. If Amazon fees are a lot, right? So even if your price is low, when you're talking about $10 products, right off the top, there's Amazon's fees and there's advertising. How profitable are you? And then how are you able to maintain that profitability when, your price point is so low?
So a really good thing happened in January 2024. Okay. Prior to that, I had an extremely low profit margin of like 14%. And I'd say the average Amazon seller does about 20 to 40%. So 14 is not good. And that's just because in the women's clothing, and that's why I tell everyone, like, don't do women's clothing, is because there's a 10 to 20% return rate. So that really kills your margin. But thanks to Temu and Shine being so aggressive in the US market, Amazon released an insane fee reduction for the clothing category, but only if you're under 15 bucks.
Okay.
So it went from a fee of 17% to 5%. So just like that, overnight, you got a 12% increase on your profit margin. So now I'm at like 20 to 30% now. So it almost doubled my profit. It was amazing. Now, do I think this will last forever? No. I think that they're just doing it because Temu and Shine have been aggressive. But I heard that Biden is rolling in a new regulation that makes it harder for Temu and Shine to operate in the US.
Yeah, I've seen rumors of that. Mm-hmm.
So if once that rolls out,
it's that shipping. Like that's how they're able to offer such low prices, is because there's like the shipping loophole where people don't have to pay like import tax, and then I think the Chinese government like subsidizes some kind of shipping where it like costs factories like $1 or less to you know, like pretty much cheaper than what we can ship in the domestic states. Like somebody can ship overseas somehow from China for cheaper, but I think they're trying to do away with those loopholes. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yes, it's crazy, and I'm glad they're putting that regulation. But if that regulation does roll out, I can easily see Amazon increasing that fee again, because 5% transaction fee is like unheard of.
Now, this one that you started selling thousands of units a month, like you don't start off with thousands. I would assume, like, you know, 5,000 units of stock. So, like, do you always start out low, like 500 or 1,000, and then see what takes off? And then just hope you don't run out and like airship if you're about to run out, if something goes viral, or how can you predict when one product all of a sudden starts selling 2,000 and another one is selling 100 or 200 units a month? How do you keep track of your inventory?
So thanks to Etsy and PickFu, I have a pretty good idea which ones are winners. But what I don't know is how much of a winner it is. I don't know if it's like 1,000 pieces or 10,000 pieces, and that you don't know until you just start selling it. Because I don't have a ton of capital to invest, I bootstrap this company myself. I always start with about 30 pieces on the first go around. And it's just to get the data. Just to get the data from Amazon if this is a winner or loser. Then in my next order, I'll do a couple hundred, see how fast that sells. And then if it keeps going well, then I'll go 1,000, then 10,000. So I do it slowly. And it's safer this way, but also slower. So, you know, you definitely don't get rich overnight, but then you also don't lose a lot of money.
Are you shipping everything direct to Amazon? Are you using 3PLs? Or using any of Amazon's logistic companies like AWD, AGL, and stuff like that? How are you managing your supply chain?
I'm purely doing shipping it to FBA. So they're running everything for me. However, I got hit pretty hard with the placement fees this year, which is a really big cut. And for those of you who don't know, placement fees is Amazon used to, for free, take your product that you send to the warehouse and distribute it all over their hundreds of warehouses for free. And now they charge you for it. And it's a lot. They charge me about 30 cents a piece. But when your product's only $10, 30 cents is a lot.
Yeah, that's something that definitely a lot of people have had to deal with for sure. What's your advertising strategy? Like, are you doing videos? Are you doing sponsored brand, or just regular keyword targeting ads? Like what and how much are you investing? How much are you paying Amazon for advertising? What's your budget like?
I mostly do Amazon pay-per-click, and I currently do about 10% of sales. So if I did 100K that I did in October, I spent about 10K to 15K. On pay-per-click ads. And I make sure that the costs of those 10 to 15K is break even, or even, you know, less. Better or break even.
Are you just managing yourself? Are you using an agency, or?
Just managing myself. You know, when you bootstrap a business, you kind of do everything yourself.
Yep.
I personally found doing it yourself the most successful. I found that you get more attention on it, more time. But that's just me.
And you know your own keywords, and you know like what is relevant and not a lot of times. So that's what I always suggest for people, at least in the beginning. Like maybe people grow to a phase where it's like, hey, I'm doing like $1 million a month now, or 500 grand a month, and I have now 1,000 campaigns. I can't do it all myself. I don't want to hire like an employee. Maybe you need to hire out an agency, but at least by then, you know what's good and what's bad with advertising. You know how to judge, like, if somebody else is doing a good job. If you try and like just outsource your PPC right at the beginning, like, how do you even know like if they're doing a good or bad job? So I like your strategy better. And then now that Helium 10 Atomic is in the Diamond plan, if you find yourself strapped for time, I would say, hey, you start automating some of your rules, that whatever rules that you're doing with your spreadsheets and stuff, just import that into Helium 10, and then what used to take 1 hour might only take 5 minutes now.
Yeah, exactly. Do it yourself first so that you can be the best judge.
For creating your listings, be it images, like your photo shoots, the copy for your bullet points, your A+ content, what's your strategy as far as how you tackle each project to know, like, hey, what should the main image show? How should my models pose, and what should what should I put in my my description, my A+ content? Like, what's your game plan for that?
I do find that it's so important that the main image is good. And I used to like personally do the photo shoots with my friends. I would have my female friends model for me, and then I would cut them out from using GIMP. GIMP is like a free Photoshop.
Yep.
And it took so much time. But thanks to AI, it's so quick now. It takes me like 5 seconds using a app called, I believe it's called, I'm going to tell you the name of it, but it's instant. I can just give it the picture and it just knows how to remove the background, make it look good, add a shadow. So the app is called Photo Room.
Photo Room.
Yeah.
All right. So you're pretty much you're not outsourcing your photo shoots. You're not outsourcing your editing of images. You're handling everything yourself.
That's right. Everything myself.
I love it.
One day when I grow big enough, I'd love to get a team. But so far, that's what I love about Amazon is that you can do everything yourself.
How long has e-commerce been your main income now, as opposed to like, corporate, when you got out of the corporate world?
Oh, since 2021. Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
Now, what would you tell people who are coming from the corporate world or from a 9 to 5 are the biggest things to keep in mind making that transition? Some of the things in my mind are like health insurance, and the benefits you give up, but what were some other big shifts that people need to? It's not just about, hey, let me see what my gross revenue is and I'm going to pay all my bills. No, it's obviously about profitability, but what are some other things that people should keep in mind before completely cutting the cord with corporate life?
I say don't quit your job, because Amazon's game in 2024 is different than it was 10 years ago. It does take longer. One of the things that takes longer is reviews. You have to get real reviews now. You can't just pay someone from India and overnight you have 200 reviews.
Yeah.
That used to be fine. So now I have to get real reviews, and that takes time because only 2% of people even leave reviews. So it may be years until you make enough money that you can like fully quit your job and lose your insurance and everything. So I say don't quit your job. Stay as long as you can on the job. You won't need full-time hours anyways in the beginning. It's a lot of waiting in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when you see the trend move where you can definitely 100% pay yourself, and that could be years, then you can quit your job. And on the way, find money-saving tips like the one I shared with you today about living for free in New York.
How did you find that hack or that? How were you introduced to that in the first place? Because I'm pretty sure there's got to be a story behind this even.
It's just a lot of my friends are like digital nomads, right? They love to travel. They don't want to be stuck in one place. And one of my friends said, hey, you got to try Kindred. It's awesome. And I tried it. I got in. It took about a month to get in. If you have to have a nice apartment, right? It's just they do vet the apartment and they vet the people who join. And then once I got in, I've lived 5 months last year in New York, 5 months this in New York. I calculated that I probably saved about 50 grand in 2 years worth of rent that I didn't have to pay because of this app.
So I think the story behind that is you got to network. And so I know you particularly have been always about networking and meeting other founders and of companies. And sometimes like Amazon sellers, we don't think of ourselves maybe as founders. Like we think, I got to have like a big startup software company and I'm a founder or a big corporation. No, if you have an Amazon business, you founded your Amazon business and brand. So talk a little bit about how, other than this, like what kind of value you've gotten from putting yourself out there and networking as much as you do.
I love it. I think it's so important. I just went to the $1 Million Summit Club event, and it was just a week ago in New York. I'd say try to come out to them. I'd love to meet you. And I've gotten so many helpful tips. Like, for example, those placement fees I told you about, they were killing me. And I found out through another founder that there was this platform called NemoShip where it kind of circumvented the placement fees. Now, it only worked for a few months. But for those few months where it worked, I saved a lot of money, like thousands. So that was just a tip that I would have never found on my own if I didn't chat with my fellow founder friends. There's
a lot of different groups out there. There's local meetups, that aren't even just Amazon specific, that that Eventbrite that people can look at local meetups and things. And obviously, here at Helium 10, we've got the Helium 10 Elite program, which only costs $99 a month. And as a matter of fact, in next week, I'm going to Milan, Italy, because we have a Helium 10 Elite meetup in group over there in Milan, and there's we just had one in Seattle. So much insight can be gained from just your network. It's cliche, but your network is your net worth, as people have long said. And you can share tips that you've learned with others, but then you'll get more than that back if you start networking. And I still remember I owe my entire Amazon career to attending an event. Before I was even like anything in the Amazon world, I went to an event back in 2016 and met people there that still are in my network even today, 8 years ago. So it's going to events like Shan Shan does and going into these groups and stuff is, I think, critical to success. What is your favorite Helium 10 tool? And if I were to give you like keys to the product roadmap at Helium 10, like something that we don't have now that would make your life easier, what would it be? So two-part question there.
Yeah, so if there's one window that's always open besides Amazon Seller Central, it would be Helium 10. I swear by Cerebro and Keyword Tracker, and now I'm using Profits a lot because Profits tell me the refund rate of a product. And now I always make sure to check that it's not more than 10% before.
Oh, because then that's another fee that Amazon's going to hit you with, right?
Exactly, yes. And it's not like easy to get that number from Amazon. So love Profits, love Cerebro, love Keyword Tracker. One thing I've been using it really hard for recently is when you're selling clothing products that have a lot of sizes, colors, things tend to go out of stock a lot. But that out of stock could be your best seller. And then because I only order small amounts because I'm very careful, it goes out of stock and then you start losing rankings. So what I've done now is right before it goes out of stock, I go to Cerebro, I put in that ASIN, and I just get a Excel export from Helium 10 of all of the keyword rankings it was at the peak. Then it goes out of stock. I usually try to restock it within a month. If it's under a month, I've noticed you'll get some of the rankings back, but it's not perfect, right? So once I get some of the rankings back, or maybe I don't, then I pull up that old Excel where I saw my rankings at the peak, and I know that these keywords did well back when it was in stock, and I would launch campaigns focused on those and not focus on just any keywords, because there's buyer memory. If this product did well for snake tights, chances are a couple months later it still will do well for snake tights. But if it didn't do well, if it was like number 50th position for Taylor Swift reputation outfit, then I wouldn't shoot for that, because I know at best they'll just get to 50 again.
Okay, makes sense. I like it. And then is there something else that you've like always wondered, like, man, I wish Helium 10 did this, or something you have to actually pay another company to do that we can make your life easier?
Yeah, I mean, I think, AI has been so big this year. I would love Helium 10 just try to use AI more. There may be keywords that are really good opportunities that I could shoot for and make campaigns if Helium 10 just told me about it. It's so much data mining that an AI would do it better than I would. If it could somehow tell me the products that I lose sales to, because on Amazon, someone will go to your page and then they may get distracted away from your page and buy snake tights from someone else. I would love to know where they go. Things like that, like using AI, features that aren't quite clear yet. I hope one day it becomes real.
If people want to reach out to you on the interwebs out there, how can they find you?
You can feel free to email me at Shan, SHAN, at millennialshops.com. You can also add me to LinkedIn, Shan Shan Fu, Millennials in Motion. Make sure you reference this podcast, though, because I get so many invites, I just kind of ignore them. But if they say, oh, I was watching Helium 10 podcast, then I'll pay more attention to that. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again. We definitely want to reach out. I'm going to be looking for your next LinkedIn post where you hit the $5 million mark or something like that, like your next milestone, because you've been crushing it since you started. So it's been great to watch your journey and wish you the most of success in the future.
Thanks, Bradley. Thanks, everyone.